Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild using the CEMU emulator on the GTX 1050 Ti. To skip to any of the resolutions tested, check the timestamps down in the description. So as promised, I'm testing this game again. This is because the emulator has been updated quite a bit since last time I made a video. So yeah, this is CEMU 1.16.0. This means that now we have access to the Vulkan API on the public builds, which so far helped me see an improvement, a huge improvement actually, on the AMD GPUs. But on the NVidia GPUs, I still have better performance on the OpenGL mode. I'll be talking more about that later in the video. If you want to learn how to configure this emulator, there's a link to a tutorial down in the description by VSOD Gaming. Very detailed, it'll tell you what to do if you have an NVIDIA GPU or AMD GPU. But my recommendation so far is go NVIDIA with OpenGL, and if you have an AMD card, use Vulkan. On the graphics packs, depending on the API I used different settings. I needed to use fewer graphics packs. This means that I only tweak resolution and a couple other ones to avoid crashing, which limits how much we can alter the look and performance of the game. There's more details about that in the tutorial in the description, as I just said. I'll be testing two CPUs on each of the GPUs I'm testing, which are an i3-9100F and then an i5-9400F. So 4 cores 4 threads and 6 cores 6 threads. I will expect better numbers using a 3rd gen Ryzen 5 CPU, but you need to tweak a couple settings in the emulator. I'm just testing the CPUs that I have at the moment, so you can see if there's a difference between them. For the quad core CPU, I'm using the dual core recompiler, and for the 6 core CPU, I'm using the triple core recompiler. So we have the best performance out of those CPUs in this emulator. And well, now Vulkan versus OpenGL. As I said, Vulkan has less compatibility with the graphics packs. What really does work is to change the resolution, so you can do that on Vulkan. Also, the shader cache on Vulkan is way faster than on OpenGL. On OpenGL, the stutters are way larger, are more noticeable. On Vulkan, they're still noticeable, but much shorter, which make the game playable. Also, I didn't find any shader cache that was a Vulkan exclusive, but we're able to use the OpenGL shader caches when selecting Vulkan. The problem with this is that it's not 100% smooth. That's why you'll see some stutters when I'm testing Vulkan on the AMD card. That will only improve as you play. The first 10 minutes of gameplay are the worst, because you're getting a lot of stutters, but they are very short. And as time goes on, you're getting less and less stutter. OpenGL, on the other hand, has 100% compatibility with graphics packs. You have all of the tweaks available for you, but it runs bad on the AMD GPUs. On the other hand, on the NVIDIA cards, OpenGL is faster, which in this case helps them beat the AMD GPUs on all the tests. This might change in the future as they polish the Vulkan implementation more. And then the other advantage of OpenGL is the shader caches. Those are online, you can install them very easily, but you don't get as much stutter as on Vulkan because those are made on OpenGL, those shader caches. So I notice less stutter by quite a lot, especially when you first start the game. Using those OpenGL caches on actual OpenGL really makes the game smooth from the get-go. So you don't have to suffer the first 10 minutes like on Vulkan. So yeah, so far the game is running significantly better on AMD GPUs. Stability is much better. In comparison to the past, we only had OpenGL. The AMD cards on that one are terrible. So yeah, Vulkan is a great addition, especially if you don't own an NVIDIA GPU. Still not perfect, but you can already see the improvements. If you have an NVIDIA card, it shouldn't be very difficult for you. Just use OpenGL, use all the optimizations in the tutorial in the description, and you should get a pretty smooth experience so far. But yeah, it's been great to see how this emulator improved over time. It's a lot better than when I first tried it. I'll be doing more GPUs, so stay tuned for that in the channel. I'll add the links in the description once I made those videos on other GPUs. But yeah guys, that's about it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
はっ Hip.